number of items that are checked out in a year, that seems like a tremendous amount of items. And
We do a lot, and probably Frida can attest to this. You can see the wear and tear on the building, you know, because it's a lot of people, wear and tear on the furniture, you know, and,
Sure.
and things like that. But I think we're managing well with it.
Well, thank you very
I
much.
had a question about that. It said the 41,000 visitors and the 60,000 library materials checked out. Is that regional or is that just in Scott County?
That's just in Scott County.
I was blown away too with the numbers, and I thought maybe it was a regional number, but
No.
clarify that was a
Yeah, I don't know how many
Scott County
days a
number.
year you're open, but probably 300 a year if you take out the,
The weekends and the
Weekends.
holidays, yeah, we get the standard
We're open on
holidays.
weekends, though.
I mean, you're
Well,
talking about,
that's true,
that's
we're open
200
on
a day.
weekends.
I know, I'm just really shocked that many people is there.
It's very well
That's good.
used. And it's near and dear to my heart because I started my library career here. I worked the Gate City Library in the late 70s, early 80s. And that's where I got the bug to become a librarian. So, but it is really, people in Scott County have always really been strong supporters of their library. And the Friends of the Library are doing an excellent job.
Well, thank you very much. and
Appreciate
Keep
it.
up the good work.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yeah, that's what I thought we would. Gentlemen, if you all could be patient, I'd like to do item 11 if we could.
Only if he's fast.
We're going to give Mr. Dishman 45 seconds to present.
Got it up there.
From PSA. No, I appreciate you being here and being patient. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'll be back next month, so.
Okay. You'll make us pay then, won't
If
you?
you have any questions, if they can wait, I'll be back next month. So I'm presenting this funding resolution for our project that's making improvements to the Duffield wastewater treatment plant. I think I've talked to you about it before, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them. This is up to a $775,000 loan. We also got $200,000 in principal forgiveness or grant.
All right.
You're okay.
Gentlemen, the agreement is in your packet. You've had a chance to go over that. The resolution is presented. I'm sure staff has looked over it. Any questions or comments based on what you see? Well, we certainly want to try to support any of these projects that PSA is trying to get done, and we're happy to see money coming in and you all staying busy and getting public water out to everybody in the county. And certainly the floor is open to any comments, but I'll open the floor for action for this support agreement.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Jeter makes a motion that we support this agreement for this particular water project. Mr. Compton seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, sir.
Well, quick.
Thank you.
We'll have it to you.
One question, Mr. Bishop.
You have it. Don't mind? Clean? Nice?
Tina will
There you
make it up for them to sign
go. There you
it. Okay.
go. Okay.
Could you
Yes, sir.
send me some more applications or?
User agreements?
Yes.
Yes.
Please.
Sure will.
I need a few more.
Sure will.
People say they got them lost and they don't know what they've done with them, so they've asked me for more and.
I'll be happy to.
Thank you.
And I need some too.
500, would that do?
You don't have
I need
They're on our
some too.
website.
20 will be plenty.
Okay. They're on our website also. but I'll
Oh, are
send
they?
you-
My printers,
No, that's okay. I'll mail them to you.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your patience this morning. All right, gentlemen, we've gotten a lot done, and appreciate your good work this morning. And We're moving well through this thing. If we could, let's go 10:20 and we'll resume. All right, thank you. This time we'll come back to order. Move to item 12, which concerns the VACO meeting. Ms. Starnes.
I need to get approval for voting credentials for Jack to attend the VACO meeting later this month. Those are due today. And he's going to be our representative for the Board of Supervisors.
All right.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And he'll just need those rights for the business meeting that will be held during that conference.
Not unless somebody else wants to go.
We trust you to get our voice heard up there, Jack. We
They may hear
appreciate you.
things they don't want to hear.
It's all right. It's okay.
Well, next year I won't be working, I may just go with you.
You can go.
No, I'm gonna go this time, can't work, but next year I'll sure entertain.
All right, we need a motion to approve Mr. Compton to vote and represent Scott County at the VACO 2017 conference.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Mr. Tipton makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hood seconds. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Mr. Compton abstains. All right, sir. You are us. Thank you for agreeing to do that. Anything else with that topic?
That's all for that.
All right, we move to item 13. If you all remember from our discussion last month, and also our discussions this morning, we've touched on a lot of it. I have no idea whether or not this will go anywhere, but I still feel like that it would be in our interest to send a letter to our elected representatives and tell them our grievances and our the situation we believe we're in and how we're treated by the state of Virginia and what we believe to be a possible solution, and we'll see where it goes. Now, the letter that I put together is in your packet. Had a chance to look over that, and I'll certainly amend that and change it to add anything or take away anything that you all feel needs to be removed. But it summarizes our discussion before, and at the bottom paragraph, asking our elected representatives to introduce legislation and initiate a discussion with VDOT, which will allow the Bristol District flexibility to transfer funds from primary construction and maintenance to secondary construction and maintenance, specifically for the purpose of improving and reducing the number of unpaved secondary roads in our county. Let's begin and treat these separately. Let's go with the letter first. Is there any questions, comments, or changes you'd like made, or anything along that line with this particular item?
The letter is worded perfectly. I mean, it's really good, and I support that. Could we do it in a way to make them, have them do it as a temporary resolution, not something permanent, just to give us a little bit of a leeway on these roads? I mean, I don't, like you said, 80 years at 3 miles a year, you know, you gotta be kidding me, you know, to take that long. But to get them to look at this in the form of some kind of temporary resolution from the General Assembly, that's where it would have to come from. I don't think the Bristol people can decide that. Obviously, Mr. Sumter and Mr. Christensen cannot. They're just following the rules, and but do it in a way that where it's more apt to get looked at by saying a temporary resolution from the General Assembly to do this. And I think the approach of Mr. Kilgore and Mr. Carrico is the right approach. That's all we've got. And I even said, you know, I would go myself if I had to and stand before the General Assembly and explain to them what we've got here that is unique. It's not like Loudoun County, like you said, or Fairfax County. What we have here is completely, it's unique. We're number 2 in the state as far as unpaved roads, and so it needs to be addressed. And I don't think they really look at seriously what we have to deal here with, what the people here have to put up with these roads we've done. And so waiting 80 years to get all our roads paved is just not acceptable. Any kind of formula they've got, it's just not acceptable to have to wait that kind of amount of time that, to get this done. But the letter is worded great, I commend you for that. And so anyways, my thoughts on it. To get their attention, I guess, what we need to do, and I think it will.
I would Getting back to that paintbrush, I think they're using that formula in Loudoun County where there's a lot of residents, and that formula may work great for those people up there, but with the amount of traffic that we have and taking up what I considered was good paved road, like on 72 and down Moxon Gap there and other places that could have been. I think that right there alone, I think that part of road that we have that was paved would have lasted another 3 or 5 years, but the formula that they use up there in say Loudoun County or wherever Fairfax or wherever it's at, that might not have lasted because the number of cars that they have or the traffic they have up there is so much greater than what we have down here. I think that formula for 72 especially, it would have lasted another 5 years.
The road from Fort Blythe to Dungannon definitely needed it.
Oh, yeah.
That was bad,
Yeah.
but from what they did this last week, they paved from the west side of Corporation Land, from there up, it's almost, halfway to Russell County.
Yeah.
And it didn't need to be paved. It did not. The same thing with Veterans Memorial there where the Army tank is. It's 5 lanes wide. Looked at this morning, 5 lanes wide. That's what they had to pave. Get the emergency lane, the 3 travel lanes, another emergency lane, and they could have gone 10 or 12 miles.
That's what I was going to refer to.
If we could use that money, that amount of payment, and I meant to ask them the cost when they grind up the old pavement. I guess they reuse it. I'm sure that helps on their cost as far as material wise, and maybe that's an incentive to do it.
I don't think they reused any of that. I think it was.
Is it not? Is it all new stuff?
I think-
I don't know. I meant to ask them. I forgot. But
I asked
anyways,
if they take it back to the plant, take the gravels out and then redo it.
that's what they do.
That's what they told me the other day, I asked. That's what Jackie
Well, I've
said.
seen them dumping it up there in a parking lot there in Dungannon, and I think they took some of it up there and dumped it over in one of those dump sites. I'm not saying that they don't take some of it and redo it, but now I've seen where some of it's been done.
But anyway, this is a good start here, and I commend you for that, Mr. Chairman.
We can add to that down in the 3rd paragraph somewhere, even if it's in the form of a temporary resolution. We'll take anything at this point.
Absolutely.
And if you can, somehow you can word that in there
Well,
before we send.
the letter's good. I think it's a good idea. It's a well-written document. Scott County is an extremely large county. It touches 7 counties, 3 in Tennessee and 4 in Virginia. I don't know the current statistics, but on Hancock County. But at one point, Hancock County was one of the poorest counties in the nation. And they have less dirt roads now than what we do. I don't know if they got a federal initiative or a state initiative, but what I'm saying is they paved in place those roads, the majority of those roads down there. Because they had at one point they had a lot of secondary unpaved roads just like we do. And they don't have that now, or not to the extent that they did have. And what I'm wondering is how they did that, and we can't. So,
I think, I don't know, and I agree with you. I don't know. feel like that, just like everything else we deal with in the state of Virginia, that most of the bottleneck is in Richmond, is with legislation. I think that the way the whole Department of Transportation is structured, the way that they get their rules, the way that laws that have been passed by General Assembly kind of tie their hands to how they can spend money. The fact that they try to sit there in one room and make up guidelines that will apply to the entire state of Virginia, and we're as different as we ought to be with Eastern Kentucky. I mean, we're more like Eastern Kentucky than we are like any other place in Virginia. And, you know, to try to govern our highways and do it in the same way that you do Eastern Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area in Northern Virginia. I mean, there's just, the priorities are different. The geography is the main thing. It's different. We got mountains, ridges, creeks, things we have to deal with. There's not a rock east of Charlottesville. And it's just hard to do that. And when they try, that's why I think we ought to treat us a little differently. And you know, the thing that ought to be so popular to them, the thing that they ought to love about this is we're not asking for money.
Right.
We're not asking for a dime more money. We're only asking for some common sense, be able to use it the way it ought to be used. And, but you know, if we can try this and see, and we'll add Danny's clause in there, if you all would, and send it to these folks, and then we're going to get on to this resolution in a second that I would like to send to the other counties in the Bristol district at least, and send a copy of our letter with it, and have them try to do a similar letter or this letter as well.
Well, one thing about it, if you think about it, and this is something that's known nationwide, the people that knows the most about their local conditions is the local people. Now, we're on this board here, and all the supervisors in Southwest Virginia, they know their roads and their conditions more than anybody in Richmond ever know. And so, you know, for them to say this will fit the whole state, it does not. But what I'm saying is, we know more right here about, like we've seen the roads you mentioned, that got paid, that if it was my decision, they wouldn't got paid if we'd used that money someplace else. But they won't listen to these local governing bodies, and they should, because we're the ones catching the heat. It's not them. And but the people that comes here and they complain about it, and they've got a very legitimate concern. They really do, and we can't do a thing about it. You know, all we can do is beg and plead and try to, like the sheriff said, you know, about his road being a 6-year plan. Don't know if it'll ever get on there. We're down to 19 now, and maybe that road will get put on there eventually. But the local governing body knows what goes on in these rural areas better than anybody up there knows. I'm sure Mr. Kilgore knows and Mr. Carrico knows, but they're just one of the Senate, one of the General Assembly, and they're one vote. But hopefully this will get somebody's attention, and maybe even address this to the whole legislature in Richmond. Who is the speaker now of the House of that? I don't remember it. Anyway, address it to them, let them see what we're dealing with. And so,
same thing, as long as the sheriff's office, you got one officer for every 1,500 citizens that works in Fairfax, don't work here. We got so many more miles to serve each papers.
Right.
Got so many more miles to travel, answer calls. In other words, we got 1,500 people living in a square mile, we got 1,500 people living in 20 square miles, which is easier to control. That's like right here, we've got 500,000 people within 30 minutes of our border. A third of our crime in Scott County comes out of Tennessee. We have no help there. You call and ask for help, it says one for 1,500 citizens, one officer for 1,500 citizens, period. So it's the same formula, it don't work for us either.
Maybe well written. I'll even make a motion that we approve this letter and the resolution to the General Assembly and to our elected representatives to get this ball moving.
All right.
Form of a motion.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mann makes a motion with the one addition that he mentioned. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Mr. Compton seconds. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, if you look in your packet today, your new packet, there's a resolution in there that I also kind of put together. And it basically covers the same thing and how unique we are and how our funding has been cut through the years. And how we're facing some unique challenges. And then at the bottom, therefore, we, the citizens of the rural counties of Virginia, believe that the flexibility of rural districts and the Virginia Department of Transportation to transfer funds from primary road construction and maintenance to secondary road construction and maintenance as needed would greatly enhance the efficiency and responsible service of VDOT to the people of those areas of the state, and we hereby request the elected officials of those counties to join together to introduce legislation to restructure the guidelines under which VDOT operates to better meet the unique needs of these rural counties. And what I would envision is for us to pass this resolution ourselves, and then have a copy of this resolution and our letter sent to the other counties. I don't mind if it's certainly within the Bristol region of VDOT.
I was going to say probably the Bristol district.
Yeah, every county in the Bristol district.
I agree.
And let them see what we've done and see if we can get them on board and get them to pass these things and send them up before General Assembly convenes after the first of the year.
Be good.
All right, resolutions in front of you. Any discussion? I'll entertain. Otherwise, I need a motion to approve the resolution as written.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution as written.
Mr. Compton makes a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Tipton seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, do we need separate action to send it to the other counties?
Yeah.
All right, I would also entertain a motion to send the copy of this resolution we just passed, as well as a copy of our letter that's going to our elected officials to every county in the Bristol region of VDOT.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Herron makes a motion to have a second.
Second.
Mr. Hood seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, gentlemen. We've done what we can, and I appreciate your cooperation. And we'll see if that gets any results at all. I don't know when the counties meet. I'm sure that a lot of them meet the first week like we do, but as soon as we could get that out, I would appreciate it. They might possibly get it in order to discuss it in their November meetings. Okay, thank you.
That'd be a good item too, when they have the legislative reception up there in January, to make that an issue too when we go and talk to these elected people, and so.
Sure.
It's a good time to do that.
You know, I told Mr. Mann at the break that, our elected officials, they're looking for things to do to try to help. There is nothing in this county that would make them more popular and it would serve more people than to find some sort of solution to these roads back here. That's more important to people than jobs. It really is. And we need to make sure that they know we're trying and we're doing our best. All right. Thank you all. We move to item 14, bookkeeping.
Please appropriate $1,753.30 to Sheriff's Drug Task Force overtime salaries, 31200-1310, and $134.13 to employers FICA 2100 for a check received and deposited at the Treasurer's Office. And that's all of the appropriations.
All right, any questions on this? All right, need a motion to appropriate as discussed.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Tipton makes a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Mann seconds, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, all you have today?
Yes.
What have you done all month?
Same old, same old.
We appreciate you, thank you.
I got the floor ready anytime.
I was gonna yield my time to you. It's next.
Okay. I like that.
You don't have anything. All right, item 15, Ms. Kegley, doesn't have anything in addition to what we've discussed today and maybe what's coming up, but nothing else? All right, if you would like, Sheriff Bucket will interject you in here for your report now that you have it, and then we'll move ahead.
Appreciate that time, Ms. Kegley. I think sometimes we look at these roads, I'm not happy either, but I'm with a lot of them, but, you know, whenever you mentioned here a while ago, the more traveled roads gets more money, more resources. It's like I told Mr. Mann, if you're going to Kingsport today on a dirt road, or if you're in a hurry, you're on a dirt road, you're going to pick the hardtop road. The hardtop road's going to get more travel because it's a better road. So the dirt road just, they don't get the funds. But the formulas don't work. That's like I was talking about the sheriff's office. I've been trying 10 years to get some help through the state for the sheriff's office. You look at 500,000 people right here on our border. You look anywhere in the state of Virginia. I've been from Lee County, Virginia Beach working. I've not seen that anywhere. You go to Wise County, they got 45,000 people close to it. They don't have, they got High Knob on their south, they got Keokee on their west, they got a prison on their east, and they got Kentucky with no population on it. They don't have anybody all the way around them like we do. And Scott County is unique to any place I've seen in the state of Virginia. You go all the way across the state of Virginia on the border. You got Bristol right here, that's got a lot of people coming over into Washington County, but you got a large Bristol, Tennessee Police Department. You got a large Bristol, Virginia Police Department. You got a big buffer there. You ain't got one person working like in Weber City at a time. We don't have the buffers that they've got, but it is unique. And I think one thing that might help on the dirt roads, you look at health issues, I think Mr. Mann might be a good one to go help out, where he's a mine inspector and talking about the dirt roads, he can shut them down if it's too dusty. Those just a coal truck running on it. I don't have nothing against a coal truck, that's what my dad done for a living, but you got a coal truck driving there, can roll his window up and turn the air conditioning on. But you get the houses are up on these dirt roads, it's unhealthy. You know, you look at some of these swimming pools 100 yards off the road, go look at some of them on these dirt roads. I mean, you can see a lot of dust. It's got to be a health issue that might be something that you can work on. Where he works as a mine inspector and can shut roads down. I think he would be excellent to speak for Scott County on the dirt roads because of dust issue. But like I said, I don't think it's the local people. I think the ones up here talking a while ago, I think they would help us if they could. But you need legislation to be able to change that money over from primary to secondary. You gotta have some changes, like we don't have a change in the sheriff's office, one for 1,500 people. But somebody gotta go to Richmond and speak in order to get some of these laws changed to help Southwest Virginia. We don't have it. I'll give you the monthly report for the sheriff's office for October. The dispatch received 6,444 calls. Sheriff's office had to respond to 665 of them. We had 24 domestic violence calls for protective order served, 53 felony warrants served, 74 misdemeanors served, 31 drug charges, 4 drunk driving charges, 143 traffic summonses issued, 2 written warnings issued, 28 motor vehicle accidents dispatched to. We served 531 civil papers. We had 82 investigations with 53 of them closed with arrest. That's a pretty good ratio. We had 338 hours of courtroom security, 17 out-of-state extraditions, 8 in-state transports, 47 concealed gun permits processed, 6 traffic checkpoints, 31 vehicles unlocked, and traveled 40,112 miles. Seems like we're all busy. Seemed like everything was pretty good on Halloween night. We didn't have anything besides traffic or minor violations, so seemed like everything's going better. Seemed like to me that some of the drug problems are down a little bit. The breaking in is down a little bit, but what helps us a lot is when you got an officer that goes out here and interacts with the communities. I mean, to get out here and say, Mr. Jeter, if you got anything in your community, I'm going to be working that area. If you know anything going on, get talking to as many people as you can, let us know and get the public helping you. We can do a lot more, so I think that's helping a lot. Any comments or questions?
Thank you, you've done a good job.
Thanks.
Busy month. We'll stay at it. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Good job.
Appreciate your time, Ms. Kate.
All right. We move to item 16. Ms. Starnes.
I passed out the treasurer's accountability report. The general fund balance is $4,534,202.44. That is after claims that you'll consider today. As far as the claims, 5,000 and above on the early claims total $31,717.08. Total early claims $49,310.80. And to highlight some of the large items this month, advanced disposal, which is tipping fees, was $27,422.54. Appalachian Juvenile Commission, $22,060. Precision Electrical for the Powell Mountain Generator, $13,547.10. Scott County Health Department second quarter payment, $61,525.50. Southwest Virginia Regional Jail Authority, $341,328.27. That's the $195,000 monthly payment plus the $145,000 reconciliation for fiscal year 17 that they let us postpone until November. So 5,000 and above totals $542,070.16, and total claims for November $643,041.92.
On our advanced disposal tipping fee, is it doing better since we've been closed, Bill?
That has reduced the last 3 months compared to last year. Is the first 3 months in a year that I've seen it reduce at the transfer station. They give me a report every month about how much comes across the scale, and last 3 months it's been lower than it was last year. There's a lot of factors in that. It could be weather, it can be economy, different factors other than just our hours at the convenience centers. But that's what we've seen in the last 3 months.
Where are we at on the video cameras and what the sheriff needs are, is uplinked to his computer or whatever?
We're looking at a two-tier type system. The high resolution to get license plates and identification takes a lot of data across internet, kind of streaming video all the time. So I talked to the telephone company, and there's a system that they can put in that can work with the existing wiring that they have now, and it does a broad view of the area, which could indicate where you can stream all the time, you can look at it, and you could see that problems are occurring. And then I've talked to the IT department here, and when we identify an area that we need to put up a camera to catch something more detailed, we'll put up a localized type system that would record to a DVR on site. So it's kind of a two-tier system that we're working on getting in place.
Where we at on the courtroom? I don't mean, is that another separate issue?
I met with the courtroom facilities committee, and we talked about different projects coming up in the next year. The painting of the courtroom, I'll give y'all a report on that, but that was one of the minor issues with their general district courtroom. There's some security issues, logistical issues that need to be addressed. I met with 2 of the judges, and the lights that we put into the courtroom has helped just the atmosphere, but there's some other issues that we probably need to address as a county that you'll see in a capital improvement application, either this year or the next. It's going to take some planning, but next year. So that's one of the next steps at the courthouse.
Is the judges okay now?
Yeah, they're okay. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
That's all.
we met, talked to them. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they seem fine.
Good.
You know, and had some legitimate concerns that was brought to my attention, and I didn't really realize that they were having those kinds of issues using the courtroom.
On the Southwest Jail, we got any inmates that needs to be moved? Does anybody know?
Our inmate count is 138.
Right now.
That was as of yesterday.
Is the, you know if there's any that should be sent on?
I'm sure there are. But they said they weren't going to jump us in front of anybody. We have to go through the normal process now.
We were up as close, as high as almost 175 at one point, so that's, at least we're keeping them down, but I agree.
I think we need to stay on top of that, getting them moved out. If we
Move
don't,
them as soon as
we'll
possible.
get back same old problem we had.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, what's the normal process?
I will look and get you that formal wording.
Okay.
I have an email from him.
Okay.
From the majors.
No, from the DO, Department of Corrections
Oh,
person.
While we're doing this, certainly anything else y'all have, we'll talk about. Let's talk about the claims. They've been presented. Entertain a motion to, if there's any more discussion on claims, we'll have it. Otherwise, entertain a motion to pay the claims.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to pay the claim.
All right, Mr. Tipton makes a motion, we pay the claims as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Mr. Mann seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Got that taken care of.
As far as your question, they normally try to move offenders based on the order in which their final sentencing orders are sent to DOC. When we assisted Scott County with intake in April this year, we moved state responsible offenders committed by Scott County Circuit Court regardless of the date of their orders were sent to DOC. Therefore, offenders from other jurisdictions who should have been moved first remained in jail while DOC reception center beds were used to accommodate Scott County offenders. And that his email said that, you know, going forward, we're going to have to fall back into our normal procedure, which would be the order in which their final sentencing orders are sent to DOC.
Did we have a resolution or some sort of a resolution that was going to be sent to the General Assembly to try to get the state to pick back up what they were, because we're already cash strapped with no jobs and nothing else, and try to get the state to pick back up where that they're not paying anything what they agreed on. Where do we stand on that?
That's already been sent.
That's been sent, okay. Thank you.
What more can we do to hold their feet to the fire to get them to, when their 2-year term is up, they need to go that day, not wait for some kind of a process to have to happen. The process should happen before that 2-year limit expires, and that day they're moved out. Because it's costing, the amount it's costing to keep them extra because of the process is not right.
If they don't move them, can you send them a bill?
That's what I'd like to do. I mean, just send them a bill and say, well, if we're gonna keep them.
I
you're
don't
gonna
see
give
why
them
we
back.
couldn't because of the contract that we had with the regional jail was the state was supposed to pay a certain amount, and they're not paying that amount. So I feel like as a board that we should be able to send them a bill and say, this is what you all owe.
One of
Be left up to us to pay something that they agreed on, and that's what they was gonna accept at the regional jail.
But if I understand right, they're saying the process slows it down.
They're saying their process is 6 to 9 months.
That's what I'm saying. Their process slows the system down. So when that inmate's been there 1.25 years, he's got, say, 9 months left, then start the process of moving him out of there on that final day that he's gone the next day.
So we're back at the point in time that we need to probably reinitiate what we did earlier last year in order to make sure that this thing don't snowball into a situation.
Well, Mr. Compton said, what if we did formulate a bill and send it to them and say, this is what you owe us?
Right.
And just say, this is it, you all owe us, but keep
You
your
all
inmates.
owe us, this is what you agreed
You owe
on.
us. You agreed to this, pay
You
us.
agreed to pay $16 or $18 a day, whatever it was, and now you're only paying $4, so this is the amount you owe.
And they start on day one, when that person been there 2 years and 1 day, then they get a bill for it, to say, you owe Scott County, and I don't know, and then, it's just being fair about it, because it's their system, we're playing with the rules, and they're not. It's their rules we're having to play by, but they don't want to follow their own rules.
Okay, so the only ears that we have is, we have, what, 3 people from our county that's on that board? So that means you guys are our ears, right, Bill
Yes.
and John?
The regional jail is the one that sent us the resolution to try to get the state to up their portion again of what they paid.
It's not the regional jail's fault, it's just, it's the
It's the
Department of
Department of
Corrections.
Corrections.
Okay.
It's their fault not taking.
And the inmates that were sent and reduced the number of inmates at the regional jail recalculates the daily cost of running the jail. So we may have to pay more a day, or it costs the jail system more a day per inmate if you have less inmates.
That would be distributed around through four
Yeah,
jurisdictions.
4
That part would be-
jurisdictions. But as a whole, it affects their revenue, is what the regional jail will say. Now, the state paying, like Mr. Mann says, if we're holding a state prisoner that should be gone, and they're paying us for that, like a federal prisoner.
That changes things.
We change things. But we have to send, we have so many federal prisoners now, and we have to send a portion of that to the state, that what we're getting paid for housing federal prisoners.
Was it 88, is that what we got, 88 prisoners?
One third or something, wasn't it? Sheriff Logan.
It's about like it was what it was before, 20-some people there, it's been there over 2 years now. So if you start collecting 20-some people, the funds will really hit the county. But you got some now, 20-some property can already be moved, they're paying for a 2-year period, they're still there.
At the end of August, we had 13.
Okay.
Those were the ones referenced in my email to DOC.
The situation Mr. McClellan talked to me back, it's been a couple of years ago, there was a person from Wise County committed a crime in Scott County. And they got like 8 years, and they were sent out the country. Well, that family petitioned for that person to come back to the regional jail because it's easier to visit if they stayed in the regional jail, and the judge approved that. This was paid for. Scott County. Because it was more convenient for the family to visit that person at Duffield rather than go up where it was at in the state. And the judge approved that and bring that inmate back, so the family could have easier visiting rights. They could visit easier at Duffield. So again, and he told me Scott County got stuck with the bill of housing that prisoner. So that kind of stuff, I mean, it's just doesn't sit well with all me. But how do you fix that? But we're stuck with the cost, make it more convenient for the family to visit. So I mean, that's the kind of stuff there that it's not a thing we can do about it. And a judge ruled on that and let them do that. So at our expense, that inmate came back. That's been about 3 or 4 years
Marking
ago.
all
they
of
had.
them, if that be the case, I mean, if you had one person that it could be petitioning a court to say, well, bring him back to Scott County, it looks like all the rest of them could do the same thing, even if they're upstate. I mean, we could be liable, if that be the case, then we could have 300 down there.
Won't come back home.
Yeah, won't come back home because it's closer for everybody to visit.
Yeah.
The other thing that's happened while they're shunning their responsibility and voiding their contract and dumping all their bills on us is they've closed state facilities.
Yep.
Places where these people used to be transferred to and they had room, they've now closed those to cut state expenses. And now there's not enough beds for those people, so they kick it back on us. It goes right back to the same thing we've dealt with in many other areas of our operations is the state, you know, as time goes by, it costs more to operate. And for years and years and years and years, they've refused to ever increase the revenue. They don't want to talk about tax increase. But the response to that is to kick it down to the locality. And whether you pay it in local taxes or you pay it in state taxes, the people still pay it. But it makes them look better because they're more efficient and they're saving money and they're not raising your taxes.
Yeah.
But they don't realize what a strain they're putting on us.
If that be the case, if he's gonna be sending people back down here so that it's easier to visit, I think who the family is, if that's what they're gonna be doing, so they're gonna visit, I think they ought to be held liable for the easier visits. Make them pay because the inmates down here. I mean, I don't think that way it's gonna be.
Well, I think that approach is a unique case. It probably doesn't happen often, but I know that one time it did happen.
All right, let's get back on the agenda if we can. Let's go, Ms. Starnes, with your next item.
I need authority to advertise for a public hearing to amend the fiscal year 18 budget at the December 6th meeting. The school system has additional grant revenue totaling $524,590. And we can also take that opportunity to tweak our budget as well with appropriations that have come in this year.
I'll make a motion to allow county administrator to advertise.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to, Mr. Mann makes a motion, Mr. Tipton seconds to advertise for a public hearing to amend the FY18 budget. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right.
On Sunday, November the 5th, from 1 to 5, there's going to be a Rabies Clinic held at the animal shelter. This is in association with the county and the Virginia Department of Health, and LMU vet students are going to be coming over to operate the clinic for us. And the cost will be $8, and that will be for either a 1-year or a 3-year vaccine. So Sunday, November 5th, 1 to 5 at the animal shelter. And the next thing I have is I received a letter from the Southwest Virginia Alcohol Safety Action Program. Mike Carrico's term as a member of the policy board will expire on December 1st, and they are requesting his reappointment to that policy board, and the term is 3 years, which would expire on December 1st, 2020. And this is a position that's usually not advertised.
All right, do you need us to appoint him? All right, and it is the alcohol.
ASAP.
Yeah. All right. The open position will be on Southwest Virginia Alcohol Safety Action Program. Mr. Carrico is requesting reappointment, or they are requesting his reappointment So I need to open the floor for nominations.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Herron makes a motion, we appoint Mike Carrico to VASAP.
I'll
Do I-
second it.
do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Compton seconds. Any other nominations? I guess we better do it the way we normally
I
do.
make a motion, nomination cease, and vote by acclamation.
That's right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Mann makes that motion to cease nominations for by acclamation. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Jeter seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you.
Okay, the next thing I have is about work-ready communities, and that's in your extra packet. We talked a little bit about this at the last meeting. Work-ready communities empower states, regions, and counties with data, process, and tools that drive economic growth. You can leverage Work Keys National Career Readiness Certificates, which are better known as NCRC, to measure and close skills gaps in our community, and they're used to match workforce development efforts with businesses. There are only currently 3 certified counties in Virginia. Those are Henry, Pennsylvania, and Halifax. People that get the Work Ready certificate, the National Career Readiness Certificate, sorry, they have different levels: platinum, gold, silver, and bronze, which tells you what level of skills that they are competent to accomplish. And November 28th and 29th, they're going to have a training academy in Abingdon, and they're asking for 2 champions for this program from each locality, if it is something that you would be interested in doing as far as getting Scott County certified as a work-ready community. And that they're charging $200 each for the training. It's 2 full days. If you want to look over that agenda, or if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them the best I can. But this would be something good to have if an employer's looking to locate in Scott County. You would have data on your people in the county to tell them, you know, we've got 50 bronze level, or we've got 150 platinum level, the different levels that they have of skills.
Same, what that woman up there at Clico was talking about, is that?
Yeah, same thing.
Do you need a motion to make, or do you need 2 volunteers to go?
I think 2 people if you're interested. They don't have to be Board of Supervisors members. They could be anybody that you felt like could be a champion for this program, because we would have to get the businesses on board in the community as well, in the county, to use the Work Keys. It's something that Eastman uses now to hire.
Right.
We've talked to Temper about it, and it was something that they would be interested in. They look at that some already now.
Okay. So do we need a motion?
No, I just need to know if anybody on the board wants to go, if you're
I
interested.
will go if I don't have any conflicts. I mean, what day is it?
It's November 28th and 29th. It would be something we could do, and then that's the week after Thanksgiving. And then as the process developed, if it was some, you know, we could all do some research and see if it's something you wanted to get involved with the whole county, to see if you're interested in being a certified county.
I will go, I mean.
From what I've learned so far, it sounds like it would be beneficial, but I want you to do some search as well and see what you think.
Well, after you and Jack go up there, you will know more about what we need. And then you'll be able to report back to us and tell us how beneficial that would be, so.
Very good.
From what I understand, we're losing a lot of businesses that are relocating from up north down, and we're losing just about everything that wants to move down below the Mason-Dixon line for some reason or other to South Carolina, which has the biggest part of their state certified with this Well, that's our biggest competitor. We can run in there and say, well, yeah, we've got everybody that you need. But if we don't have it in numbers like they want, then they're not even gonna keep us in mind.
It just lets them know what our trained workforce looks like.
And we can also use Tennessee's, the people in Tennessee that are ready, anybody that's ready to go to work.
Well, the surrounding counties involved in this too.
They're getting more involved, yes.
Yeah.
So far, there's only 3 certified in Virginia.
Wow. But that would make us a certified,
No, there's there's a process you have to go through to be certified. You have to have so many businesses involved and on board, but this is just training to get started. And this is usually something that's not offered locally. I think didn't they say, Jack, that this was the first time it had been in our area, the training? Usually you have to travel quite a ways.
we good?
And it being this close, I mean, that's the biggest part of me is being close, being able to.
Okay. And one other thing I had, I just wanted to mention the Waste Center hours on Saturday where time is getting ready to change. Do you all feel comfortable leaving the time the way it is, or do you want to adjust that in any way?
I had a phone call on that, if we could reduce the Saturday evening hours to match the daylight time. If we could do that and bring it down maybe to 6 o'clock or something, 5:30 or 6, somewhere there about, because once you get past dark, I don't think many people show up. So but I had a request for us to do that.
Yeah, I had phone calls in the same regard as well. Move the evening time up, yeah.
What's your thoughts, Bill?
That's fine. Whatever the board want to do with it. about that.
What time do you think would work best on Saturday evening to close?
Well, dark is dark, so, you know, it's gonna be dark at 6 when the time changes.
Well, could we do this, say 6, and make it, let it go back then when the time changes again in the spring? Could we make it, that we would have to deal with it again when it goes back to,
Time change.
yeah, the time change, we'll move it back.
You know, the time change is not near as long as it was, I mean, before.
Right.
It's just, what is it, 3 months now? Something like
Usually
that.
March.
Yeah.
All right, I need that in the form of a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
I assume, I guess the motion is that we change the hours of the solid waste centers from 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock
Closing on Saturdays.
and closed on Saturday,
No.
Closing
Close
at 6 o'clock on Saturday.
on Saturdays.
Will that
instead of
affect
like-
the people who are working, some people? If you go from 8,
I think they just come back and close
A
mostly.
lot of them do. yeah.
see,
They-
mine's closed every day. Rest of them's not, is that right?
That's right, Yuma is different.
Human's a little different than
That
the
would
rest
apply-
of you because we close this one every day.
This would apply to that side, the other 14 sides.
I mean, it don't matter to me, I just think about keeping it where people working and stuff has time to get in their trash, I don't know. What do you think,
Yeah,
Bill?
doesn't close every day. Just on Saturday.
Okay.
Human's the only one that's closed.
She closes at 8.
How do you want to handle Yuma, Mr. Jeter?
I don't know. I asked her about it, she said she was perfectly fine doing it the way it is, but it don't matter. What do you think, Bill?
If she's fine with it, I would say just leave it as is. Be less complicated on
All right.
the every night thing.
Because I asked her the other day, I said, well, do you want the time change? She said, well, I don't have no problem with it. So, I said, the only problem she had was seeing tag numbers after late. But it don't matter to me. I was just thinking about the people that works 8 to 6 might
Or yours is every day.
Yeah, make it difficult for some people.
All right, well, let's amend the motion to change in the solid waste center hours for every station except Yuma on Saturdays from 8 o'clock p.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. Until further notice, realizing that we'll do it, probably change it back when the time changes.
So you'll revisit it?
We'll revisit it then.
It'll be dark later on at 6 o'clock then.
All right, so I had a motion to that effect, and then I had a Mr. Tipton second. Mr. Mann makes a motion, Mr. Tipton seconds, and we'll exclude Yuma.
Stop changes, sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Pardon?
Stop changes this weekend?
Yes.
Okay. So
Saturday
effective
night.
this weekend.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right,
That's all I had.
thank you, ma'am. Item 17, Ms. Cox. She's been patiently waiting. She knows everything now.
I don't know that the word patient goes with me. I'm sorry. But I've been waiting, and you all do a great job. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Use the right one, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. You gonna start my view for me?
Do
Okay. Well, good Thanksgiving. So I always like to say thanks during Thanksgiving, and thank you for allowing me to do this job, and thank you for the job that you all do. This is my fourth quarter report, and I'm going to go a little bit different this month. I'm going to go kind of through the things that we've done. We've got all of the itineraries reprinted, did a reprint on the brochure, did 5,000 on the brochure. We have not done a redesign on the Scott County brochure in a while, and that was basically, we'll probably do that the next time that we run out of brochures. It's a little bit costly to do that. So I'm just trying to be efficient with the monies that we have to spend. And I had hoped to have the new 2018 Scott County calendar here. And the Scott County calendar, it will be here tomorrow. I told him I wanted it November the 1st, and today is November the 1st, but he said, oh, it'll be Thursday. This calendar was created using the photos that were the winners in the Scott County photo contest that we ran on Facebook. And as with anything new that you do, you learn. It's all a learning process. Photos that go in a calendar really need to be at a 300 DPI, which your pixels need to be much bigger. It's a 300, it's a dot per inch, for them to, you know, come out and look like that. When you put them on a Facebook page, normally Facebook automatically shrinks them down to like a 72 DPI or a 98 DPI. And so some of the quality on the photographs that I took off and that we used, they weren't what I wanted them to be. So from now on, the winners will be required to submit a 300 DPI photo. And unfortunately, I found out people don't understand what that means, so I kind of have to explain it to them or get someone to help them do that. So the calendar should be here tomorrow. All of the winners, they did receive a $50 gift card, and they will each get 5 calendars held back for them in case they want to give them to their friends and families. They'll be distributed free at local businesses. And I will take those around and try to distribute them evenly throughout the county so that people can go around and pick them up. The Cloud Splitter 100, I don't know if anybody heard about the Cloud Splitter 100. I was actually out of the country in September, at the end of September, and was on my way back home and I get this message from someone that I didn't know, or, you know, and I was kind of like, oh golly, is my brain that bad? Is there something that I've totally forgotten about? But anyway, the Cloud Splitter 100 was, this race has been done before. And it had been done the last few years in Pine Mountain, Kentucky. And it was moved this year to Southwest Virginia. And the reason that it was moved to Southwest Virginia was because the organizers and the runners encountered some harassment from the residents in the area, in that they were being shot at, and they were also seriously, people didn't, I guess, you know, people didn't like them coming into the area and doing this race, this run. But these
that
are,
would be a deterrent.
yeah, they were shooting at them, and they were also, they also changed the signs so that the people were getting lost. And this is a 40-hour race. It's an ultra marathon, so you have elite competitors. And this race was a qualifier for a race that will be held in the Alps next year. So you could either do 25 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles, or 100K. And the race started at the high school in Norton. You ran up to High Knob, you ran out through Bark Camp down to Falls of Little Stony, came back.
Hanging Rock.
Oh, Hanging Rock, sorry. Came back and then ran down the Devil's Fork Loop. And if you were doing the 100 miles, you did that not once, but twice. And so we were asked to set up the aid station in Scott County there at the Devil's Bathtub. And so I finally talked to the lady who is the organizer of the event on a Wednesday, and the race wasn't the coming Saturday, but the next Saturday, to try to get volunteers to man an aid station that lasted, you know, was to be set up probably about 40 hours throughout the weekend. And Kelly Begley and her husband stepped up to the plate on this, and she said, oh, I'll help you, no problem. And Kelly and her family basically spent the entire weekend out there. They set up the aid station. She cooked. Now, everything that went to the aid station was provided. But Bill and his wife came, and Lenora, his daughter, and some of the stories that these folks told was really pretty incredible. The gentleman right down here that's smiling, he was the winner. He completed the 100 miles. And when he came through Saturday morning, the gentleman that was ahead of him in the 100K, he was going to quit, and he did quit. This gentleman, he came through early in the morning on Saturday, and he was going to quit too. And his wife talked him into completing the race, and so you can see his face and his sense of accomplishment. You cannot see the two runners up at the very top that are coming into the finish line there in Norton, but these two young gentlemen had a very, I guess it would have been a somewhat frightening experience. They were coming through the Devil's Fork Loop at night in the dark and encountered a rattlesnake. And the younger guy said, I didn't know what to do. He said, I didn't know, do I go all the way back? What do I do? And so finally, somehow they managed to maneuver themselves away from the rattlesnake, and they finished the competition also. But whatever Kelly and her husband decide to do within the Devil's Fork area, I can assure you that it will be done, and it will be done well. We will be doing and participating in this event next year. They had like over 100 runners, and folks were staying throughout the region and everything, and they bragged and bragged and bragged upon this region, and especially Kelly and her family there at the Devil's Bathtub area. She did a great job. I turned around, it was raining Sunday morning, and they just kept bringing things from their home, like tents and chairs and everything to make everybody comfortable. They did a very nice job. We did Boo at the Zoo this year, and Karen Davidson helped me. I dressed up as Medusa with all the snakes in my hair and everything, snakes coming everywhere. Crystal painted my face to look like a snake, and we had a great view. We were right across from Judah, the new lion cub that they have there, and he put on a show and a half that night. He was so excited and just played around. He'll be moved later on and be put with the rest of the Lion Pride. But we estimated we gave candy to about 3,000, 4,000 kids that night. We had a lot of candy. We had a little bit left, and what I had left, I let Karen have it, and she went to Yuma the next day and did some work for APCA. Don't know why I want to say APCA. And one of the new things that we've started doing is Scott County VA Rocks. And this is an initiative with my Southwest Virginia Rocks, and also Healthy Scott. And this really came to us through the Healthy Scott initiative. And I don't know, I've asked y'all, are you all very familiar with Healthy Scott? They're trying to get people engaged in doing and eating healthier, no sugar, X number of hours of exercise.
I wouldn't be familiar with that.
It's aimed mainly at kids, and so we're working on this initiative with them, and we're trying to get families out and get them to walk down to the creek and pick up a rock. There's all kinds of rules and regulations though about picking up rocks. You don't pick them up from a state park or a natural area. We were given some rocks, and then I assigned my husband to go get some other rocks. But you have to prime them, and we were going to paint rocks this past weekend at King Alley, but it rained so hard that Karen nor I, neither one felt like it was worth trying to paint rocks and that. So, but I will be at the Hometown Festival in Weber City this weekend painting rocks. I cannot paint. Karen is the artist, and she painted the Batman. I have no ability whatsoever when it comes to painting, but there probably won't be anybody there who really knows how to paint, so if any of you all know how to paint and you want to show up and help me, please feel free to join. New business ventures. I did a story on Linda Burkett's new place, new business venture, Homestead on the Holston. And so I did a story and put it on the tourism website, and also linked it to our Facebook page. And then the Times News picked that story up also and ran with that. Warhammer for 40,000. I had no earthly. I went and did an interview with these people, and I still have no clue as to really what that is. But it's gaming, and this is done at Memory Lane Antiques in an area upstairs in downtown Gate City. And there's probably, upwards of 40 people sometimes that come and play Warhammer up there. So it's a very strategic game. It's a video game on tabletops. It looked really hard to me. The events I worked, went to Dungan. I always try to go to the major events, Dungan and 4th of July parade, and especially take photos and put them up on our Facebook page. Duffield Days. Can you tell how happy Mrs. Fannin is that this is finally over for them? And I know someone else is picking up Duffield Days and will continue to do that. But I'm not, I think Elizabeth Robinson, is she the person who's going to spearhead that from now on? I don't know, but I've been told that, yes, it will continue. Papa Joe Smitty, and you know, even with the passing of Papa Joe, there was a question as to whether or not they should even do this, but they had more people, I think, and I've gone to the Papa Joe Smitty every year for about the last 6 years. They had more people at this Papa Joe Smitty Festival than they've ever had, and I'll tell you the reason why. It was their headliner, and that was Carson Peters and Iron Mountain Band. Have you all heard Carson Peters? He is a phenomenal, you can't call him little Carson Peters anymore because he's about this tall, but he is a phenomenal fiddle player. And I mean, just, tore the fiddle up, and everybody loved him, and they did some square dancing. It was a great event. Bushmill Days was held the same day as the Cloud Splitter race. So did an interview, went to Bushmill Days, and then went and checked on the Cloud Splitter, and then came back and spent the night that night. Community outreach. I went to the Scott County Vocational Technical School and did a presentation on tourism. And anytime anybody wants me to go talk somewhere, I'll be happy to do that, to a civic club or anything. This group of kids, they were extremely knowledgeable and extremely engaged. I was really impressed with what they knew about the area. They knew a whole lot more than some of the leadership classes that I've gone and spoken to before. I mean, they knew everything, which, that's encouraging. That's a great thing. Media, this is just something that I always show you. Free publicity at this point is $159,787, and that's down considerably from what it has been in the last few years. Social media, we're almost up to 7,000 on Facebook. Twitter, Instagram, I have 869 followers on the hashtag that I use, on hashtag Scott, on whatever the little program that I use. But then Scott County VA has about 868 posts. So, that you kind of double that number to see how well, Scott County is being shown out in the world of Instagram. Does anybody else do Instagram? Any of you all? And I like Instagram better than Facebook because all you do is look at pictures, and I just look at dogs. Twitter, I have a lot of followers on Twitter. And so our Twitter account is linked to also the Instagram and to Facebook. So anything that I post on Instagram or Facebook goes on to Twitter. I still send out the weekly events newsletter. There's about 900 people on the mailing list, and we still have a great open rate on that. And then I also post it each week on the Facebook page. The website, I'll talk to you a little bit about that in this. The photo contest, we're continuing to do a photo contest to do a calendar for next year. We've got some ideas, the tourism committee, on how to approach the calendar this year. And I will tell you that I changed the rules. And since I changed the rules, my entries have fallen off. And the whole goal of doing this photo contest was to get people out and to get them to explore Scott County and to take pictures of, historic things, go to the festivals, take pictures, and participate. And I did a little Facebook poll. I mean, I just didn't decide to do it on my own. And, people said, yeah, you shouldn't let people vote every day. So we changed that. They said you need to set the criteria as to what you take photos of each month. And I don't know, I talked to my tourism committee about it, and we may go back and do it the same way it had been. So, or first I'm going to advertise a little bit more and see what happens. We're going to have a venue meeting in January with all of our venues. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to them about was to do a website and reconstruction of the website and create a website that benefits them more, in that we put together a website where that you can create your own itinerary. They can do their bookings online. They can purchase tickets like at Carter Fold, because Carter Fold is one of the few places that, I mean, and there's some other places here that doesn't take plastic. And so we would actually be pre-selling for them. Now, a ticket on having a website like that would be pretty pricey. So that would have to be, you know, we'd have to try to see if we could get an MLP grant, MLP Marketing Leveraging Programs. Those are reimbursement grants. So we'll just have, that's just something that we're talking about. And, you know, I don't know if the venues will even want to do it. So we'll just see. One thing that's really important, and if anybody knows Larry Previtt, a.k.a. Sparky, from Duffield, they're doing Duffield Jams tomorrow night at Thomas Village. Their ceiling is about to fall in. Delegate Kilgore is going to be there, and he would like to get some great support. So if anybody doesn't have anything to do tomorrow night at 6:30, go down to the Duffield Jams. I have a class that I go to in Big Stone Gap on Thursday nights, but you know, they've been doing that at Thomas Village, the Duffield Jams, for what, the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and what they do is different from even what Alan Hicks does. So they do a good job there, and Sparky's a nice man. So I continue working with the regional partners, and if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Questions?
Good presentation.
Thank you. I know you always need a copy, so you may pass this out, and you all may do whatever you want to.
Busy time, things going on, and it looks like you're staying busy and showing off everything we have here in the county, so we really appreciate the work
Thank
you're
you.
doing.
Thank you. I try.
A lot of your work is weekends and after hours.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Other times.
Yeah, but
So-
I take comp time.
Well,
I have a
that's-
lot built up.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I mean, I do. I was just sitting here thinking, you know, when everybody else is off and enjoying themselves, you're out there doing your job. So we appreciate the work you do.
Thank you. Well, Bill, I will tell you, I had meant to stay at the whole time at the cloud splitter race, and I made the mistake of going home and taking a shower because I was absolutely freezing, and I sat down and fell asleep and didn't make it back. So, but she had plenty of volunteers to help her take. Yeah, she's phenomenal. So whatever she does in terms of Devil's Bathtub, I think.
Well, thank you very much
they'll
for
do
the
a good job.
presentation.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, we can do our final comments if you'd like. We do have a closed session today. It might be brief. We do have one. Well, let's go ahead since it's listed in order. Do you have anything else that we've not talked about other than closed session? Mr. Jeter?
I know you talked to Mr. Ferguson on the house in Nicholsville. Do you have any update on it?
I did, and I spoke with him again yesterday, and he said he would like to talk to his board at their meeting, and he's going, that's next week, and he would put it on their agenda, and they would discuss that and see whether or not they have any need or benefit for it. And I told him, let's find that out first, and then get back to me, and then I'll know something, I'm sure, what their interest, if any, is by our next meeting, and we can discuss.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Mr. Tipton?
We've raised a question, I guess, during the last few weeks about a flag out front. The flag that we have here at the county building was a flagpole that was put up, I guess, when the first story was put up, and it's a shorter pole. And so it just doesn't look good, you know, sticking out there like that. And it ought to be one, in my opinion, you know, appropriate to the size of the building that we have. And maybe, you know, properly placed, you know, toward the front entrance so that, because we are a patriotic county and a lot of people, they're looking for that flag, you know, flying. And if you're looking from the road out there, you're not going to see it, you know, from here. But we've had some discussion, I think, with Frida and Bill, and they've given me some answers back, and so I guess we're waiting on some determination, I guess, from...
I have a price. A
price, okay.
40-foot flagpole with an 8-inch base
Okay.
is $1,752. Shipping's $150 to have it brought to site. And I've actually called a place in Abingdon about installation. I've left 2 messages and she's not got back to me yet on the cost of installation. So that's where we're at.
Okay, thank you.
And the existing flagpole, Bo has been asking at the courthouse for an external flagpole for a couple of years now. So we may be able to utilize that flagpole at the courthouse. If you notice the flagpoles at the courthouse now,
Right.
they're right beside the columns.
Right.
And if the wind's blowing from the east or the west, either way, one of those flags is hitting that column. So,
And you really got to look to see those flags down there too.
so we might be able to use this flagpole at the courthouse and have them installed at both places.
Would you want this project to come out of contingency? Or what did you have in mind?
It should be put with the board to decide.
I'd say we sell our flagpole to both for $2,000, put this one in.
Well, that's what happens.
I'll second that motion.
The job is done now.
I also support that flagpole. Yeah, we need to support our country.
Well, one thing you mentioned in the center of the building, really don't think we have a spot in the center of the building because of the way the drainage and everything is in the front. We can enhance that corner though. And the flagpole is, you know, right beside the sign that says Community Service Building on the tower there. We can enhance that spot with some landscaping that was there before that hasn't been replaced since the construction. So in this project, if you want to include some funds for some decorative landscape design around the flagpole and lighting of it and all that, that'd be good. Not just the pole itself.
Right. Well, we're gonna have some labor too. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know that amount yet. And I may have to, it looks like I'm gonna have to go to a different source. That was just somebody that was local that I knew of,
Okay.
based on the person I got the quote from the flagpole.
Did your group put that flagpole in?
We could, possibly, but it'd be better to get professional to do it. You're talking about 40-foot flagpole and you have a flag on it that has wind resistance, and we don't want it to fall down. It's possible. We don't have an auger, or there's some technical things about putting a flagpole up. Something
And I
like
don't know what's
that.
really good about the flagpole is the truck on the top, a revolving truck, so that your flag will, go whatever direction the wind is blowing and not get all tangled up.
Yeah, we wouldn't have the equipment to, deal with a 40-foot flagpole.
well, let's do this. I think everybody here, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I'm sure everybody's, in support. Nobody's necessarily against this project at all. But since we've got labor to try to find You know, Bill mentions landscaping and some other things, lighting. We're talking about burying utilities probably to get to the pole.
But we checked on some lighting, there's a lot of solar type lights that we could probably utilize, so probably not utilities.
Okay. All right. I hate to put it off 30 days, but I would prefer, I think it's better to have a figure, have a number.
It's a work in progress, I understand that.
I mean, you can say up to so many $1,000s, I guess, if that's what you all want to do. But if you want an estimate of how much it's going to cost to buy it, install it, put it in with everything we want to do to it, you'd have a number, you know. But I'll go along with whatever you all want to do. If you can either agree to fund it up to a certain point, you know, maximum, or you can get the numbers by next meeting and we'll have a more
So
accurate.
we just get the numbers, we'll wait till we get all the numbers and do it the next meeting, it's fine.
Nothing else for us.
Okay. All right. You'll maybe find somebody in the next 30 days that.
Yeah, if, I'll switch people if I don't hear.
Okay, and Bill, if there's things extra that you want to do, if you could come up with some sort of a rough figure,
Okay, yes, sir.
and we'll add it all together, and then we can just approve that amount if we decide to.
Sounds great, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Compton,
Good.
you're good. Mr. Herron,
Good.
no problems. Mr. Mann,
I'm good.
thank you, sir. Mr. Hood.
One thing, Benny Head gave me a call since last meeting with concerns of closing down, possibly the closure of the Anglers Way crossover on the 23. He said that when they originally built the road, it didn't have the crossover, and they had to build a crossover because instead of having to go northbound or southbound, it just wasn't working for the citizens that lived down Anglers Way. And he had been watching the previous meeting, and he said that he definitely didn't agree with the closure, that if VDOT does want to come at us with that.
So he wants to leave it open?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great. Anything else? All right, I don't have anything at this time. This board needs to hereby enter into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711, being A3 real estate near Fort Blackamore. I need a motion to that effect.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Tipton makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Mann seconds. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.